will be happy to answer questions all semester long. I know this week is a lot like drinking from a water hose, and so you can't possibly get it all right now. Cognitive load is a real thing, and we all have limitations. So we're here to support you all semester. Okay, and toward the end of the session, someone will post a link to the sign-in sheet. I'm sure it will be Christina because I forget to do it about 97% of the time. So we are here to talk to you about instructor presence in your online class, which is super important and also pretty fun. So I'm Allegra. This is a drawing Austin did of me. I teach English at the Connect campus. I've been teaching online for 6 or 7 years, and I'm the department chair of English and Humanities. And Christina's here and wants to introduce herself. Okay, her mic's not working. She's gonna be very active in the chat. She's our Dean of Academic Affairs at the Connect campus. She was a full-time faculty member until just a couple of years ago and taught speech online. And she's our fearless, intrepid leader. So she's gonna help us with the chat until her microphone starts working. I wonder if it's a mic you got from Natalie. Those all seem to be defective. So the two things that we know, the first, instructors' behavior in an online class is a key factor in student success. So not just what you put in your course, but how you teach your online course impacts student success. The other thing we know, and we have research citations at the end of this if you are a research nerd like we are, students' perceptions affect their outcomes. So if they feel like you are connected to them and care about their success, if they feel like you are approachable and they can ask you questions, if they feel like you're a person and a human and they can relate to you, then they are more likely to be successful. And Natalie's here. Hi, Natalie. So the reason that instructor presence is important is because it enables 3 key things in an online course. The first is inclusion, so making all students feel like they are welcome members of the learning community. Accessibility, making sure that all students can access and learn. Sorry, please don't put jokes in the chat while I'm talking. Making sure all students can learn and access the materials. And engagement, meaning that all students feel connected to and engaged in the course. They're interested and they want to know what happens next, just like kittens looking at butterflies. My cat would never do that. So I want you to think for a moment, and you don't have to say this out loud and you don't have to type the comments, although you can, but remember you're being recorded. Think about the worst teachers you've ever had and what words you would use to describe them. Just think for a moment. Your kindergarten teacher, your professor in college, the worst ones you've ever had, and what adjectives you might use to describe them.
Can you hear me now, Allegra?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Great time for you to jump in.
I know.
I would describe my worst professors as grumpy,
rude,
unapproachable, bored, not just boring, but themselves actually bored, scary,
apathetic,
demonic. Okay, great answers in the chat. So hopefully, as you think about what kind of teacher you want to be, and even in this upcoming semester of chaos and uncertainty, what kind of professor you want to be. You don't want to be someone who adds to the chaos and uncertainty, and you don't want to be like your worst teacher. Now I want you to think about the best teacher you've ever had, and we have a picture here of the best teacher from all of television, Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. I know that's a little generational, so you maybe haven't seen that show, but it's wonderful. So what words would you use to describe the best teacher you've ever had? Caring, kind, engaged, excited, passionate, understanding, positive, encouraging, strong, But like Mr. Feeney, really good teachers make sure their students know that they care about their student success. Approachable, yes. So when you think about what kind of teacher you want to be, I want you to lean more toward the best teachers you've ever had, and as far as possible away from the worst teachers you've ever had. So we're here today to talk about online presence. And so there's 3 parts to online presence. The first is cognitive presence, and that's how you build your course and what you put into it. So that's course design, lessons, and assessments. Your cognitive presence is shown through what the course looks like on day 1. All of the lessons, lectures, videos, notes, all of that content that you build is your cognitive presence. And this is different than an in-person class. We don't really parse these 3 things out as much in person, but in an online class, you have course design, course activity, and social presence. So course design is cognitive presence. I like to give my students in every lesson something to read, which is easy because it's an English class, something to watch, something to listen to, something to look at. So that gives students more than one way to get information. It gives them variety. It keeps them engaged. If they're not someone who really likes videos, which I don't really like to learn things from videos either, then there's still things for them to read and listen to and look at. If they are someone who's really engaged by video, then the video is there. Everything that every lesson I have has a lesson introduction, and it's accompanied by an audio recording of me reading that lesson introduction. There's also notes, of course, that's the PowerPoint or the PDF that is the lesson material. And then I post reminders and other things to make it a little visually appealing in the course. And these are kind of what my lessons look like. And if we have time at the end, I'll open a course and just kind of scroll through it for you. But you'll see I have notes and I have example papers. If they have an essay coming up, I give them an example. And this is on the right is a course introduction, and then a audio recording of me reading it with a little play button at the top. So again, my students have things to look at, and they have things to read, and they have things to write, and they have things to watch, and it gives them variety. Again, that's just part of universal design. Anytime I have pieces of literature in my class, I give my students a little picture, if I can find it in the Creative Commons, a little picture of what the author looks like. I feel like students really like that. Some students do, some students don't care, and that's okay. And I have little embedded videos and links to external articles. So I just want students to be engaged and included as much as I can. So think about whether students have different ways to get to your material through listening, watching, reading. And of course, I've been teaching online for a long time, so I've had a lot of things, a lot of time to build these in. So I don't want you to say I have to make 16 videos, 16 audio files, 16 pictures, and 27 images by August 1st. You don't have to do that. These are things that we aspire to and work toward. These are not things that you have to get to immediately. Instructional presence is what you do during the semester as the instructor. So that's how you teach the course. So that includes interaction, which is actually required for online courses, grading feedback, and ways that you are present in the course as the faculty member. So this includes your response time, how long it takes you to respond to emails, and how long it takes you to grade essays or assignments, how you communicate with students. Do you use a lot of email? Do you have a lot of office hours? Do you post announcements every few days? What kinds of textbooks and readings do you have? How do you present things like PowerPoints? And do you have different kinds of assessments? So yes, you have tests in some lessons, but in other lessons, do you let students discuss their learning? Do you let students reflect on their learning? Do you let students write things or draw things? There should be a variety of assessments and a variety of feedback methods so that if something works better for some students, they have an opportunity to go through that avenue. So questions you have to ask yourself as an instructor is, when is it vital to spend all that extra time giving deep, rich feedback? And when is it more important to get them rapid feedback so they can move forward more quickly? Deep, rich feedback takes a lot of time, and rapid feedback is not as deep. So you have to decide whether time or richness is more important. You might want to give students the option of how they get feedback. Would they prefer for you to record a 2-minute audio file to having a bunch of comments written on their assignment? You do need to make sure that students understand how they're grading, whether that's a rubric or score point descriptor. This is what an A looks like. This is what a B looks like. And one thing that I do to save time sometimes in grading discussions, instead of responding to each student individually, I read through discussions, I give students grades, and then I post an announcement responding to the themes of the discussion. So I might pull out a couple comments, but I'll say, I see you guys were talking about this, and that's great because it connects to the next lesson. I saw that the conversation went in this direction, and I was really excited to see that. That's something I'm interested in too. And I just kind of respond to the theme. So they know I'm engaged, they know I'm reading it, they get my feedback, but I don't have to spend a lot of time replying individually to students. So here's 2 ways I grade students, and these are cropped weird because I had to, of course, take out any student identifying information. But I teach writing, and sometimes I teach creative writing, and final drafts is a time when I give students very deep, rich feedback. So I am writing all over their work, just like this. That takes a long time, especially because when I'm doing this, I'm comparing their final draft to their first draft, and I'm also simultaneously looking at their revision memo where they talk about what they changed between the first and the last draft. So I'm looking at 3 things, and I'm writing all over a document, and you can imagine that takes a long time. Sometimes that takes like 3 weeks, which is a long time. So I tell students the very first day, don't be anxious when you don't get that back quickly. This is why it takes a really long time. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the kinds of feedback you get. This is why it's important. You just have to let them know. Students are okay if you take 2 days to respond to something, as long as you let them know that's how long it will take. And for other assignments in a class, when I think I want to get feedback to you, but I want to get it back to you quickly, I use rubrics like this one that you see on the right. So they are sectioned: thesis, topic, sentence, formatting, clarity, and all I have to do is check where they landed for each item, and then they get feedback, what they did well on, what they need to work on, and they get a grade, but they get it very, very quickly because I can grade using rubrics. I can grade those in, a couple of hours for all my classes. And this is what it looks like if you use Turnitin to grade. The nice thing about using Turnitin to grade is that these little boxes are actually reusable comments. So you're going to see a lot of run-on sentences, for instance, if you teach English. So this comment says, this is a run-on sentence. Here's what a run-on sentence is, and here's a link to a resource to help you with sentence construction. I had to type that one time, and I can reuse it as many times as it pops up in as many classes in as many semesters as it happens. And I only had to write that comment once. So there's a bank of these over here, and I just drag the comments over. And then if I want to make unique comments like this one, I just type needs examples from the story to illustrate my idea, and I kind of stamp it right there. You can highlight things, and then on the right-hand side, you can write a summary comment, or you can record up to 3 minutes of a summary comment. So that's a great question about math. Students in math classes should be doing more than multiple choice tests. Obviously, multiple choice tests are the summative assessments that they do to end major units, but they should have other types of assignments no matter what the subject area is. And that's for a few reasons. One is it gives students a different way to think about the subject and to write about it and express it. And the other is interaction with each other and interaction with you are required by the Department of Education for online classes. Students have to interact with one another, and there has to be student-teacher interaction. So if it's a multiple choice test that is auto-graded, that's not interaction. And if they have no discussions, no journal entries, and no peer assignments, there's no peer-to-peer interaction. So you have to build in ways for them to interact with each other. And that's an opportunity for you to respond to their writing or to their assignments and to give them deeper, richer feedback. The other thing is, even if it is a multiple choice test, you can post an announcement and say, I see that a lot of people may have missed this question, and let's get into where a lot of people went wrong and correct some misunderstandings that may have happened. And if you haven't gone to Dave Denny's session on test and item analysis, he can help you understand how to look at what students did on a test and figure out which questions were good and which questions were problematic. And that can help with providing that kind of qualitative feedback instead of just quantitative feedback in the form of a grade. The other thing is on multiple choice tests, you have the option in Blackboard of putting in a comment that explains if the answer was 7 and they put 12, you can explain why the answer was 7 when they get the answer wrong. And that's a different way to give them substantive qualitative feedback. I hope that answered your question. I engage my students a lot through announcements. It's a great way to answer frequently asked questions or to say, here's some things to remember about thesis statements. Students really struggle with thesis statements. I know that going in that's going to be a sticking point for a lot of folks. So I put some reminders in the announcements before thesis statements are due, and I do some cleanup after thesis statements are due and say, you guys did great. Here are some things to remember for your next thesis statement. It's usually the same comments every time because we're building as we go. Great thing about Blackboard is, well, the great thing about every LMS is you can reuse announcements from semester to semester, so you don't have to rewrite them every time. So social presence is everything in your course that is not related to the content. And in case you were thinking there should be nothing in your course that's not related to your content, I'm here to dispel that myth. Social presence is how you communicate, engage, and connect to your students. The research says social presence is how your students relate to you as a human and how you relate to your students as a human and how students relate to each other. That's social presence. You have social presence automatically built into face-to-face classes. So those conversations you have before class starts about how everybody's weekend was, or when students are talking in the hallway and you ask them how they're doing in their other classes, when you tell them about a book you read, or when you mention that you got a new cat, all of those things are social presence in an in-person class. You have to be more intentional and build them into an online class. And you do that in lots of ways. And the thing to remember is you have to do what works for you and you have to do what's genuine. So you may not be a person who wants to put goofy cartoon images of yourself or GIFs from Parks and Recreation. That's fine. What you have to do is what reflects and is genuine to your personality. So if you're a pretty serious, pretty buttoned up professional person, then maybe you don't want to share your personal life or photos of your family, but maybe you want to talk about your favorite book or what you're researching or what you've been doing in the past few semesters. So you just have to do what works for you. Students want to learn from you the person, you the expert. So how you communicate, engage, and connect to students is up to you. First thing you have to do is find a way to substitute nonverbal communication. In class, you can smile, you can laugh, you can joke, you can use your hands to gesture things, and that's a little different in online classes. So you can put little smiley faces, you can put little sunshine images, you're doing it in the chat when you thumbs up each other, you're finding ways to engage in nonverbal communication. You just have to remember that students are anxious, students are not confident, students are stressed out, and so anything we can do to encourage and make things a little bit more pleasant will end up making them more successful. Think about what your in-person students know about you when they see you in class or when they come to your office. They see the books that you have on your shelf, they see the photos that you have on your desk, they hear your voice, they see your book bag, they see if you have, Batman poster, then they know that you like Batman. All of that is parts of your personality that your in-person students got to see. And you want to find ways to infuse that into your online class. These are pictures of my dogs. I put them in all my online classes. Students love to see pictures of your pets. And so if you don't want to show them pictures of your family, show them pictures of your pets. Show them a picture of, I don't know, your favorite author. But photos are compelling to students, especially if you have dogs as super cute as mine. Students love it. So my recommendation for making sure students feel like you're connected to them is to respond or connect with 5 students per class per day. And that way you have reached each student in all of your classes every week. That could be a comment on the discussion board, an email check-in, a follow-up on something, a smiley face, an extra time you spent giving them grading feedback, a shout out in an announcement about something that was done well. Just make sure that every student feels like you are present and connected at least at least every week or 2. So we just want to make sure that our students know, I see you, I care about your success, I'm here with you, and I'm happy to help you if you need it. You also want to ask, do students get a chance to know each other? So do you have get to know you discussion boards? Do you have peer revision? Do you require students to engage in group discussions? Think about what makes you approachable, and approachability is super important. What do your students know about you? And how can you share more information about yourself, either professionally or personally, that will help students in the class? And I want to talk for a minute about approachability, because you might say, I put my content in the course, that's all students need. This is a picture of my husband. He just graduated from UNT. He went there on the GI Bill after he retired from the Air Force. So he's a grown adult person. He took some online classes at UNT, and his instructors were not the same as me, is the nicest way I can say it. And so when he got an email and he didn't know what it meant, or when she posted instructions and he didn't understand what he was supposed to do, he felt really lost and really confused and really frustrated. And I said, just email her and ask her. And he said, oh no, I'm definitely not doing that. I don't want to be the problem student. I don't want her to get mad at me. I don't want her to think I'm dumb. I don't want her to be mean to me. I couldn't handle it if she gave me a rude response. I'm not going to ask her. I'm just going to spend the next 3 hours suffering in silence, clicking around the class randomly, trying to figure it out. I did not take his computer and email his professor myself, but I really wanted to. So it was because she was a great teacher and a content expert, and she was actually a very nice person, but she didn't convey that in the online class. She didn't make herself approachable. She wasn't intentional about being socially present in the class. So he didn't feel like he could reach out to her. He didn't feel comfortable asking her a question. And instead, he just suffered kind of in silence. And you don't want your students to do that. You don't want to think my students are at home, confused, lost, and frustrated. Those students will drop, and those students might not ever take another online class because of that negative experience. So it's important that you are approachable. And even if you think they're in college, they should be brave enough to ask questions. If they're not, too bad. It's just not true. They just don't know what to do, and it's our job to help them get there. And I will say my sister also teaches in the graduate program at UNT, and she doesn't know lots of things about online teaching, and she is afraid to ask the instructional designers there because they're not approachable. So it's everybody's job to work together. It's your job to be approachable to your colleagues. It's your job to help each other. It's your job to answer questions and make sure that it's a comfortable environment. It's hard to be doing this online. We are all at home alone. So you have to be very intentional about being approachable and being as cool as possible when people ask you questions. I promise you, I'm in sessions all day for 2 weeks, and in each session I say, if you have a question, send me an email. If you need the sign-in link, send me an email. And I get, I'm not joking, 60 emails a day. And I have to say in every one, I'm so glad you asked, thank you so much. And then I post the link. You know why? Because if I'm rude in the email, If I just post a link and reply, that person is less likely to ask me a question the next time something comes up. So I have to think about it and not speed through it and get it done. I have to think, what makes me approachable so that the person feels comfortable asking me in the future. They went out on a limb asking for help in the first place. I promise my lecture is over now.
Hey, Allegra?
Yeah.
Did you see Rebecca's question about what tool you use for peer review?
I use groups in Blackboard.
Okay.
I don't know a way to show you without
Showing your students.
showing my students, but I put them in groups and they have to reply to each other.
Rebecca, you can feel free to contact Allegra and she can give you a one-on-one session.
Yeah, I can take screenshots and edit their names out. I just can't open a live class because it would show you their names. I just can't. The same reason I can't show you a better screenshot of what it's like to grade and turn it in, because it just has their name everywhere. But if you want me to make some screenshots and edit out all their names, I can do that. Absolutely.
Yes.
So if you don't want to make an intro video or you're not ready to do that, one way you can introduce your students is to make a little graphic. This I made in Canva, which I will show you in a minute. And these are just things I like. It's real dorky. I have a dog. I like Batman and Game of Thrones. And then I just have a welcome message where I give them a little bit of information about myself. So you don't have to be super effusive. You don't have to reveal personal details. You can just say, here's how long I've been teaching. Here's where I went to school. Here's what I studied in college. Here's what I like to do in my free time. Here's my favorite book, right? That's not super personal or revealing. And it lets students know I'm a person. I have a sense of humor. You can talk to me. I'm happy to help you. This is a course banner, and I'll show you how to put that up in just a minute. This is my intro video. I can send you a link to it if you want to watch it. And I also share with my students in the Meet Your Instructor area a link to my podcast if they want to listen to it. Some of my students do. They don't have to. It's not a requirement, but some students like it. And some advice before I open my course is it's okay to fail. It's okay to try something and mess it up. I have tried about 27 different ways of doing peer review in my course, and each one of them failed in its own unique and special way. But I figured it out. I stayed in communication with my students. I helped fix it as it fell apart, and then I tried a different way the next semester. Don't try to do all of this at once, and don't try to do anything that isn't genuine and authentic to who you are. And the last thing I would recommend is team up with a colleague. You have other folks who teach your subject area who hopefully you know, or you're welcome to ask us questions in the team all semester long and get ideas, or check with someone and make sure your idea isn't crazy, or get technical help, or if you need help, Austin's help to upload a video to YouTube. All of that is something that you can do collaboratively. And so I'm going to open the course, and while I do that, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask. Christina's going to let me know if I miss anything that you type in the chat.
And I'm sorry, I was having a great discussion with Richard Ruiz in the chat, and I just want to make it clear I'm not opposed to live sessions, but just know that the district is requiring that if you hold a live session at a scheduled time, that it be recorded, because some students, especially if they were face-to-face and they have to take classes from home, and we don't know their living situation, if there are children running around, like in my household, which is why I'm constantly muting myself, and dogs barking, etc. It would just benefit them if there's a recorded session of the live session, so that way they could watch it later.
I do not remember why I opened my course.
To show us what it looks like. Oh, and somebody asked about, sorry, again, I was distracted. The banners. How do you make not just the banners, but the titles in each lesson?
Okay, so this slide is in the presentation, which we will share with you. And this slide tells you how to access lots of different things that you've seen. So all those banners and little graphics I made in Canva, which I will open and show you in just a second. Pictures like this one I got from Pixabay, so those are all Creative Commons, not copyright violations. If you want Bitmojis, so those little cartoon avatars of me, you can get a Chrome plugin so that you can save them to your desktop. That's here. Building rubrics in Blackboard is pretty straightforward. It takes a little bit of, there's a little bit of a learning curve because Blackboard's hard to use, but there's information here. If you want to use OER, which are a great resource for students, and that way you don't have students who don't have the book on the first day, there are some great OER resources here. Austin said this in the chat, and it's absolutely true. Our instructional design team is super approachable. So if you have questions about getting content copied from one faculty member to another, putting videos in YouTube, those kinds of things, just email the e-learning instructional design team. I have their email address here. This is my email address if you want to ask me questions. I really, really am happy to answer all of them. And there's a link to the team, which you're all members of, which we will be active in all semester as we help you navigate this new challenge as you teach online or remotely, whatever they're calling it. Okay, so what's embedded in Blackboard, Christina?
Oh, collaborate. Sorry, tell Austin, can you stop posting it? We get it.
So I will start by saying I personally do not use Collaborate, but if you want to use it, you just, to add and embed it in your course, you just click this plus sign right here and go to tool link. And then the tool you want is Blackboard Collaborate, and you can name it something like meetings. If you click this link, it will make that available to students. I'm not going to because I don't want to use Collaborate. And then you can drag that anywhere you want. And we have videos on Austin, will you post a link to our YouTube channel? There are videos on the YouTube channel about how to access and use Collaborate. I do not use it. I use Google Meet. I might use Teams in the fall, but all of the meetings I have with students are optional, and they come in if they want and ask questions. Sometimes a lot of students come in, and so it turns into almost like a mini lecture, and sometimes it's just me and my computer and no one comes, and that's okay because I sit, it's on mute, I'm grading or doing work, and if somebody pops in, I can help them. I find that our students sometimes have a need for a human connection, especially in a time like this. So it's nice to have some optional times, but I can't require for students. You are definitely not limited to Collaborate. You can use Teams for sure. And we've been using Meet for the last year, although we're going to confirm with the powers that be that Meet is an acceptable tool. It is in network. You access it through your TCC Gmail account, and students access it through their TCC Gmail account. Students are very used to using Google tools, so it's a lot easier for them to do.
And Delissa was asking for ideas on how others use Collaborate. I know I have business instructors who conduct one-on-one interviews with students. I've used it myself to interview candidates for full-time faculty positions, and they're able to share their screen and go over what they've created. We have them create a classroom shell as if they were teaching it and just explain it to us. So those are other ways to use Collaborate. You can also put students in groups in Collaborate and assign them discussion topics or projects in there. And Allegra, you're getting questions about adding icons. How do you add icons to announcements? Your Bitmoji, that's what Allegra has there. That's her Bitmoji, which is a cartoon version of herself.
Mm-hmm.
So can you show them?
Oh, I thought I did, but okay.
Oh, I think it was the last session. I felt like it happened already, but it might have been the previous session.
So I have the link in the PowerPoint slides that takes you to setting up the Bitmoji. Is that the question? How to get one?
I think one person just asked how you got those pictures. Where did you get your pictures? Sorry.
So the photos, like this one of the dude in the fire hose, I got from Pixabay. The little goofy cartoon graphics of me, I got from Bitmoji. And links to both of those are on this slide right here. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
If not, tell me.
I believe so.
Richard, if you do a meeting in Google Meet, you can record it. It stores it straight to your Google Drive, and you can upload it into YouTube. And if you put it in YouTube, it will get auto-captioned. And I just put links in the chat to training for using MS Teams with your students. That training I just linked you to will be coming to you in an official channel in the near future, but that is the district training for faculty to use Teams. I will say, if you haven't gone through the workspace environments Teams training on the basic functionality of Teams, that would also be helpful so that you know how to do things like log in and set up a meeting. But you can use Teams with your students. Your students are in Active Directory. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that they have access to it. And the easiest way for anybody who doesn't know about Teams to get into Teams is to tell them to go through Blackboard.
And did you show how to make the banner? Or we have a couple of questions. So did you show us how to set up a banner, and how do you embed the icons into the screen, into the, I guess, announcements? Or that's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
And Canva is free, Joan. There is a membership subscription, but you can access plenty of images for free, which is what I have the free account, and I create a lot in Canva. So it is free.
So if you or your students are having trouble getting to Teams, the easiest way is to log into Blackboard, scroll down here, and just click Get Office 365, and then log in, and you will see a Teams icon right there. It's also how they would get into their Microsoft Word and everything else. So that's how to get into Teams. I will show you Canva if my computer will cooperate. Sure. So this is what Canva looks like. It's free design software. I do pay for it, but I also use it for lots of other things, which you'll see because I'm going to show you all my recent designs. This is the banner. This is my course banner. These are those little images I made for my class. Have you checked your email today? But you'll also see I have made a birthday party to invitation and things for my podcast. I'm sure at some point you'll see a picture of my mother in here. There it is. So I use it for lots of things, like I said, and that's why I pay for it. But I do create banners just like these. So to do that, you go to create a design. I always use custom dimensions. That course banner is 2000 by 200. Let me see, hold on. Course banner is 2000 by 200. So you go to create a design, custom dimensions, 2000 by 200. So you have a blank design over here. You can change the background. You can be in outer space. You can just have some planks of wood. Fireworks. I don't know what that is. Lights. Interesting colors. And then if you want to add text, you just click on text over here. etc. So I use 2000 by 200. That will fill up the space if a student is using a computer with a monitor, but I only put text in the left, like, let's say 1/3 of that banner, because if a student is looking on a phone, anything that's over here would get cut off and on the banner. So I make it long so it fills up the space, but then I only put text on the left half so that it doesn't get cut off if someone's using a mobile device. To make those little mini markers that you saw in my class, they look like this. I think that's 300 by 50, so that's a little smaller. And so you can use their templates if you want. And then just replace this text with whatever you want it to say. This is smaller, so you want to make the text as big as possible, otherwise students won't really be able to read it. That's too big. So once you've made it and you like it, then you just click download right over here. I would download it as a PNG or a JPEG, either one. That's an image file, which means it goes right into Blackboard. And then you just download it right to your desktop.
What was the size again, Allegra?
For what?
Your banner?
For the course banner is 2000 by 200. This mini marker is 300 by 50.
Okay.
So to put the course banner into Blackboard, you go down here to customization, teaching style, scroll all the way to the bottom, and then you just upload the banner. For those mini markers that are in my lessons, I made all of these in Canva. You just edit the item. What is happening? Let's try that again. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry. You just edit the item. And you click this little mountain with the sun behind it, and that's how you insert an image. So in my Comp 2 class, I'll show you that. So this is a banner I made. This is, have you checked your email today, that they see every time they go into lessons. And then within a lesson, they have all of these little things. I put this, look, this lesson has 2 assignments. I put this in here because if I have a lesson with 2 assignments, I'll get about 6 students in every section who turn one in, but not the other.
Allegra, they're asking how you insert your audio files. Can you show them that?
Yes. So I record them using Audacity, which is a free software, and you just download it from audacity.com, and it's got, like, let's say, pretty easy interface. I'm opening it right now. I'm doing it on my other monitor so you don't see what's happening, but it looks like this. And the record button records, and you can cut things out. I'll put a link to a video on how to use this interface. It's real easy. And you can delete background noise if your air conditioner's on or something like that. And to insert them, I just save them to my desktop from Audacity as an MP3. And then I click this insert or edit embedded media link and browse my computer and upload the MP3. You can upload MP3s directly into Blackboard. They take up much less space than video files, so you're not going to run out of storage space. So you can't upload your videos directly to Blackboard because 2 videos will max out your storage, but MP3s take up much less space. So you can put them directly in here. And when students open the lesson, and they would just hit play, and then I'm just reading this to them. I don't know if you could hear that, but it's fine if you couldn't. So it's just me reading this. I sound more excited in the audio recording than I do right now because I'm trying to think of like 400 things at once right now. What else? I know I'm missing questions. So I will send you a link to the video on using Audacity. If you want to put some audio, I prefer audio files to video unless I just have something really compelling for them to look at. I don't need them to look at my face. And I have an audio file for literally every lesson introduction. It's me reading it. And then it just helps me emphasize what's most important in that lesson to students.
And I've posted the sign-in sheet in the comments. It's a link. If you don't have access to the comments, please email Allegra or myself.
So there's how to use Audacity. And if you need a step-by-step on uploading the banners or uploading images, all of that stuff is in our YouTube channel, which you can get to if you just search YouTube for TCC Connect eLearning. That you'll see there is how to make your own banner, how to upload a banner, all kinds of stuff about using Blackboard Collaborate. It's all in there. We have 5 more minutes, so if you have more questions, let me know. I went through the slides really fast. I just like to go through them, and then whatever sticks out to you is what we spend time answering questions about. So if there's anything else that you have questions about, just let me know, because we've got 5 minutes left.
Do you are you going to post the link to the PowerPoint or email?
It's in the team, but I'll attach it right here.
Thank you. And again, I posted the link. It's just a link to the sign-in form in the chat.
Okay, so Dana said this might be random. I cannot wait to see what comes next.
We like random.
I'm so excited right now. She's just going to leave us hanging, you guys. Oh.
Nope, she responded.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know. So do you put the videos in YouTube, Dana? Okay. So put them in YouTube. Or send them to Austin and he will put them in YouTube. That's how he spends most of his time. I'm trying to remember which one of my lessons has a video, but if it's in YouTube, you can make it look like this. So it's a very small, and then it pops up, or it's the wrong class.
You did answer her question though. She said, yes, that's what I mean when you showed that video icon.
Well, there's a better way to do it.
Oh, okay.
Did I just go to the exact same lesson again?
You did.
Oh my God.
Joan is asking, can Austin make us personal YouTube channels for our classes? Ooh.
You would have to make your own person. You can make it look like this also. So it's a little bit bigger and they can just watch it right in there.
Well, he just said, yes, I can and I will. But
okay, if you want your own YouTube channel, go to youtube.com, log in with your personal Gmail account, and you have created your own YouTube channel. But if you send the videos to Austin, then he will put them in our YouTube channel and make you a playlist specific to you, which might be what you want. So you can do either one. So I have my own YouTube page. That's just me. That's just my stuff. I don't even know how to get to it. Your videos. Okay. Right. Those are all my videos. But if you have Austin do it, then you will have a playlist within our YouTube page, and our YouTube page has, I don't even know anymore.
Thousands, I'm guessing.
1,101 videos.
Oh, wow. That was close. I'm surprised you don't have more, Allegra.
And so you see he's making each individual instructor a playlist. So he's grouping them like that.
Did somebody mute me again?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. You're just ignoring me. Okay, perfect.
So you can make, so my video, some of my videos are unlisted, which means you have to have a direct link. If it's on YouTube, there's no way to make it like super private so that only your students can see it. But if you make it unlisted, the only way to get through it is through a direct link. So they're not searchable. They don't show up on random places. And then some of mine are private, which means no one can see them. Those are usually just videos that I messed up. And you'll see most of mine say unlisted, just because I don't need people to go look at them. Only 10 people watched my research paper video. Man, those students. But 50 of them watched the welcome video. Okay. But you'll notice that my video on finding an article on the database has 4,000 views. So that one's not unlisted. They all get auto captioned. If you go in and edit the captions, then you'll get the CC. So I edited the captions on my intro video. You'll get the little CC. That means that you've edited the captions, but they're all auto captioned. So this is a really hideous video, but you'll see.
Do you make those with your camera, your iPhone?
I made this with my webcam. The one you're looking at here, I made with my webcam. And I made this one with my phone on Apple Clips. And look, I'm in outer space.
Where is Apple Clips? I looked for it yesterday after you mentioned it. Is it on all phones or just some versions?
It's on. Okay, so sorry, it was playing in my ear. So you have an iPhone, then if it's not on your phone, you can download it for free from the App Store.
Thank you.
Yes, you can also put it on any iPad that you have if you don't have an iPhone. But it will put the captions right on it just like this, and they're called live tiles, and you can edit them. Android has nothing like Apple Clips. That's why you shouldn't have an Android. I didn't mean for that to sound aggressive. You don't know me. I'm joking around. Okay, I'm glad you laughed.
We are not advertising for Apple.
I just realized sometimes I'm like, these people don't know me. Calm down. So it is 11:55. I don't even remember if we have a 12 o'clock session because I barely still remember my name. But is today noon? No, is today noon is the sentence I just said. Is today Thursday? So our next session is at 1. So glad my husband didn't hear me say that. Our next session is at 1. It's a Q&A open lab. So I'll jump in there. If you guys have more questions or want to look in the nitty gritty of Audacity or banners or anything like that, I will jump in to the Q&A and I can help with that. It's at 1 p.m. And then there's an accessibility session at 3. Blackboard Basics is this evening. So I guess if you want to do that. Sounds awful. And then we don't have any sessions tomorrow, but we will be looking at the team and be checking our email. So if you are really trying to work on something over the weekend and get stuck, just let us know. And then next week we pick back up and we're doing all of the same sessions multiple times next week as well. Dana, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm very glad to know that this has been productive and helpful. Christina, Austin, and I do a lot of presentations all over the place. And I'm glad to know that we are able to help people at TCC instead of random strangers at a conference. That means a lot to me personally. Christina did post the sign-in sheet link, but I will repost it because I know the chat gets a little bonkers. Bonkers is a word I say a lot.
It's a good one.
Well, I use it to substitute for profanity, which Austin told me I'm not allowed to say.
Yes, good job keeping it clean.
Also, Christina's being polite, but she doesn't have an H in her name. So if you're trying to email her, it is Christina.
Yeah, it won't come to me if you put an H in my name. Sorry. It's the, proper Spanish spelling, but whatever. I'll get off my high horse.
Okay, thanks guys. Go eat lunch. Thanks everyone. I mean, go eat lunch. If you're going to the 1 o'clock session, I'll jump in there and we can get into more information about anything you need. But otherwise, we'll see you at other sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll stick around if you have a burning question though. David Denny's in here. What's he doing in here?
Surprised he wasn't trolling us.
I was thought trolling.
I'm gonna end the recording now.
Yes, that's a good idea.